Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Top 10 Songs. We're doing the Saturday Metal Hour 2 weeks in a row with my special guests, Brian Slagel, founder of Metal Blade Records, and Steve Keeler from Rock Fantasy in Middletown, New York. Welcome to the show once again, guys, for a Top 10 Songs of King Diamond. Brian, Steve, welcome.
Thank you, sir. And nice shirts by both of you. I appreciate that.
The mighty Visigoth, who I love.
Yeah, that's
Look what just came in the mail today.
nice.
Oh, you got it. Cool. I didn't even get one yet.
Hot off the presses, right?
Alliance ran out on it. We have to. I told Brian you got to check with them to see what's going on.
Yeah, they're all that stuff you asked about is already on reorder, so it should be there hopefully.
I know some of the King Diamond re-releases went out pretty quick too. They were like hotcakes, I guess.
It's good. It's a good thing, I guess.
Yes,
oh, yeah.
Indeed. So just so everybody knows, King Diamond has been one of the most requested artists for us to do in this Top 10 Song segment for quite a while. And I think it's a stroke of great luck that we've got Brian joining us here today because, of course, Metal Blade, King Diamond kind of goes hand in hand, right, for all these years. So as always, I let one of my guests go first here, starting off with their number 10 song. And since Brian's the guy at Metal Blade, I'm going to have him start.
Thank you. But I have one question which I forgot to ask before, but I just realized it because I did a top 10 for a Dio thing, and that was Dio's entire career. But this is just King Diamond, the solo artist, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Otherwise, my top 10 is a mess. All right, good. So we're good. So that being said, this one was very difficult, actually, because I was going through everything, trying to get it down to 10 was basically impossible. So I basically got it down to 10, but number 10 is a tie, which I know is lame, but I had to do it. So
Like a 10-way tie.
almost, yeah. I probably could have done that.
Steve and I have both done mulligans and having ties at number 10 many times before. So you're all right. Yeah, we'll let you get away with no problem.
So at number 10 is my tie, of course. Sleepless Nights from Conspiracy, and then the latest single that came out that I really like called Masquerade of Madness, which will eventually be on the Institute record once King finishes up that.
Awesome.
What's the approximate street date for that, Brian? Nobody knows.
Your guess is as good as mine. Yeah, I mean it's really impossible now because of the the pandemic and everything. We can't even records that we have finished, we can't set release dates yet. So hopefully things will become a lot clearer in the next few weeks and we'll get a better picture.
Cool. Steve, what do you got for number 10? Sorry.
Number 10. I'm leaning on the Fatal Portrait album with a couple picks because I guess maybe, I mean, I love King Diamond solo, but if you were to tell me which do I like better, I really like the Merciful Fate, and I feel the Fatal Portrait kind of blends over from that material a little bit at times. Haunted from Fatal Portrait's my number 10.
It's a good one. It's a great album.
It is.
Great album. I will also lean on that a bit in my top 10, although not at number 10. So number 10, I'm going to go to the Spider's Lullaby for the Poltergeist. Speak to me.
That was one that I wrestled with being here, and it just was close. I'm glad you picked it. That's good.
That's a great tune. I love the crazy vocal in that one. That's some good riffs there too. All right, number 9. What do you got, Brian?
So number 9, I have from the Them album, The Invisible Guests.
Oh, yeah, good one.
Well, I guess that all three of us will have that in our top 10s?
Who knows? We can't say, can we?
We can't say yet, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. I found last week was really cool because we all had different songs for the most part. So that's always cool, especially with bands that have big catalogs like this. It's tough to get in. I'm sure there'll be a couple of the same, but we'll see.
I hate this, he has a giant catalog, and I tell you, most of my favorite stuff, I'm going to sound like one of those elitists now, or one of those guys that we always thought to. I only like the demo, it's like, but most of my stuff is from the first few albums. I think most all of it is actually. My number 9 is Burn from the Eye. Mm-hmm. I really like the Eye album a lot. I don't know why, but that's an album I could be my favorite one by him, other than maybe Fatal Portrait. I mean, of course, I love Abigail too, and then. But the Burn from the Eye is my number 9. So,
I mean, I agree with you. I think the Eye is one of the top 4 or 5 albums of his. And, you know, I'd forgotten how many albums this guy has put out. When I was sitting down to go through it, I'm like, holy moly. What, I mean, how many, I forget. What is there, like 15?
Well, people forget about the 90s for both Merciful Fate and King Diamond and many other artists. And I've been on kind of on my bandwagon of late, telling people that even though the 90s were not great for metal specifically in the mainstream media, but there's a lot of really great music. I think both King Diamond and Merciful Fate were putting out some good stuff.
For sure. Yep.
Don't forget about that out there.
Yep, that's right. All right, my number 9, I'm going to go to that Fatal Portrait album for The Portrait.
That's
Very good.
Yeah, it's classic. I mean, that whole album is just great. You could literally pick any song from it.
Right. Yeah, that's part of the problem. You can just like throw a dart. Okay, I'll take that. Speaking of 90s King Diamond, I'm going to go to one of those records, and this record is in my top 5 King Diamond records, actually. This is from the Spider's Lullaby, and it's the Eastman's Cure.
Wow, that's
great riff. It's a bit off the chart, but that riff is so good.
Cool. And that's number 8 for you. I'm up to number 8. And I'm coming off the Eye album again with Behind These Walls. What's going on, you know, behind these walls? Actually, not much. Everything's going on the other side of the walls, which will keep it out there right now. But, actually, I saw King at the King's Theater last fall. And that was such a good show. It had Idle Hands, another band I'm real passionate about, opening up along with Uncle Acid were there. Were you at that show?
I was.
Yeah,
That's the first time I've been there. That's a beautiful place.
Wasn't it just, it was just perfect for a King Diamond show, wasn't it? It just looked like you were being transported back into the 1600s with the architecture and everything there at the King. But that was actually in the set list, which I was real surprised, and I thought it was one of the strong songs that night, Behind These Walls.
Well, for my number 8, I'm going to stay on the same album as Steve, The Eye, for The Meetings.
Oh, yeah. I had that penciled in here, and I was trying to pop even a half hour ago. How do I pop that in the top 10? Well, I know I was going to use the Eye album for the whole, the thing. So it's one of my honorable mentions.
There you go. All right. Number 7. Brian, what do you got?
So for number 7, I'm going to go with the classic title track of Abigail, which, of course, is Abigail. And Abigail is my favorite King Diamond record, so just for the record.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of the best ones for sure.
Yep, I agree.
And my number 7 is The Invisible Guest.
Yes.
Yep, The Invisible Guest made my number 7. And
did you pick anything that's not on them or the Eye?
Yeah, Fatal Portrait. I already did.
He's got 3 at least, right? My number 7. How about the title track to The Puppet Master?
Yes.
Underrated album, I think.
Yes. Again, on my 90s King Diamond soapbox. Absolutely. For my number 6, I'm going to go with a classic from one of Steve's favorite records, The Eye. This is Eye of the Witch.
Yeah.
So they played live last time. It was so cool.
Yeah, that's a great song, too.
That almost made my top 10.
Numbers. I'm up to number 6 already. We're going through this quick today. Off of the Them album, just to throw you off, so I'm not just picking from 2 records today. Twilight Symphony.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, that's a good choice. I forgot about that one. My number 6, let's make it 3 for 3, The Invisible Guest.
All right. So far, that's the winning. If it was a competition, that would be winning so far.
As my stereo just turns on by itself almost, because I was checking someone texting me.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry about that.
All right. Who was it? Was doing, I forget what it was. It was either podcast. I've been doing so many of these things lately, but somebody fell off because their wife had left the house and took turned on their phone and lost everything. That wasn't this one, was it?
No. Oh, so they were using the phone as a hotspot. Okay.
Yeah. So the wife left, and all of a sudden he went blank. So.
My wife is staying home, so I'm safe.
Good. It was Travis from Cattle Decapitation, because his wife works at Trader Joe's, so she was going to work. So fair enough. Anyway,
That's a strong new album too. Way off topic. Cattle Decapitation, a band I never really listened to much, but that new album I really got into.
Yeah, the last couple of records are really.
Yeah.
So, but back to King Diamond, I'm going to go with one that we have been previously picked here. Title track off, again, underrated record, The Puppet Master, being The Puppet Master.
I have to listen to some of those a little bit more. You're pulling up the ones I'm going to check out after this. Yeah. And I'm up to number what now? Number five?
Number 5.
I'm at A Mansion in Darkness.
That's a good one.
Another strong one.
That's a classic. Absolutely. My number 5. Let's go to Fatal Portrait yet again for The Candle.
No, great. So many good songs. Like that's what it was. I said I struggled with putting together the 10, which actually ended up being 11, but it could easily be a lot more. But yeah, it was a struggle. So for my number 4, I'm going to go with another title track of another one of the 90s records. And this is one of the cooler videos we did. There's not really a whole lot of King Diamond promo videos. Obviously, now that we have the Roadrunner catalog, we acquired all that sort of stuff. But there weren't a whole lot of them. But this one I thought was a really cool video. So if you guys want to check it out when this is all over, it's a title track off of Give Me Your Soul, Please, which would be, of course, the song of the same name.
Yeah. That's a good choice, actually. I actually put up a thing on my social media, yesterday saying I'm working on a top 10, kind of promoting the show a little bit. And I had a lot of people, and a few people did write that song in for, their top songs. Yep.
And that's one of those albums that nobody really talks about when you talk about the latter era King Diamond stuff.
Yeah, and all those records did really well, actually. I was looking back at the sales of, both King Diamond and Merciful Fate for that time period, and obviously all underground stuff, but the sales are pretty solid for a lot of that stuff. So
all right, what are it to number 4? My number 4, let's go to the Conspiracy album for At the Graves.
That's another great one.
How about those
there's obviously I couldn't get a song from every record on there, but that's one that I missed, which was another painstaking decision, that's for sure. So so up to number 3. So my number 3 is yet another title track from an album, and another title track from an album from the 90s. And this one is special because if you didn't know it, good old Dimebag Darrell played the lead on this song. This is Voodoo from, of course, the Voodoo album.
Oh wow, that's an interesting fact. That's very cool. So we're up to 3. Did we skip me on 4 for Abigail? No.
Did we? I don't
know. Did I already give you Abigail?
No.
So the title. I don't know how did we get. You're up at 3 already, and I was still at 4. Abigail was my number 4 for Abigail.
Okay.
That's the title of the album, of course.
We got to yakking, and I guess we.
Sorry, something happened. I think.
Sorry about that.
Then I was checking because people were calling me and texting me. I should have.
That was the problem. You had your stereo went off. It's all your fault.
Yeah, it was probably me. So now you ready for my number 3 too?
We are.
Number 3 is from the Fatal Portrait album, The Candle.
All right, we got a couple candles.
We got some similarities here.
I don't have a candle lit right now, but yeah.
We're gonna do another trifecta here. My number 3 is Abigail, title track from Abigail album.
I do have a King Diamond toy though. For sale at Rap Fantasy.
Up to number 2. Number 2 for me is off the Fatal Portrait record, Halloween.
Oh yeah, that's a great song. It's not on my list, but it's definitely one of my strong honorable mentions. Number 2 for me is just a song that's really catchy, and I loved it for years. It might be my favorite King Diamond song, but it's not today. Family Ghost.
Yep.
Yeah.
The video, everything else, it's just such a strong song, and that's probably one that, like, if you were just a closet fan, you would know a couple that, King Diamond, what video was that on MTV,
My number 2 from them, Welcome Home.
Yeah, that's a great song. Boy, that's not on my list. Did I forget that? Yeah, I forgot that.
I think you did, Steve.
I had it on the other day.
There was like 5 or 6 tracks that I had that were like, how do I not fit this in? But I got to fit this in.
Yeah. It's tough when you have a rich catalog like this to really because it's like you want to pick your favorite songs, but then you don't want to pick like all the same songs from the same albums, right? So you try to mix up. It's tough. It really is.
It is. It's a lot of work for only 1 week. We had 2 weeks for Amon Amar.
Right.
Well, obviously, I'm a little,
1 week.
yeah, and I'm a little biased too, because obviously, you know, even though we have the whole catalog now, obviously we worked and put out all those King Diamonds in the 90s. So I'm probably a little biased on that just because I'm so intimately involved with them.
Sure, sure.
But my number one song has always been my number one King Diamond song since the day it came out. I think this song is absolutely brilliant in every single way. It's a song that they generally leave the stage with these days, The Black Horseman from Abigail.
Yeah, another great song. It's a very epic, that song is, yeah, for sure.
And live, you gotta love it because he's singing with a microphone like this, and at the end he puts the microphone upside down for the upside down cross.
Yes.
That whole thing is amazing.
Well, my number one is off the Fatal Portrait, Sharon.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
I love that song. I mean, it sounds, to me, it's like a Merciful Fate song, but yeah, it's a King Diamond song, but you know, it's just, it was tough to pick. And I left out a couple good ones like Black Horseman and the other one that Pete just mentioned from my list, and probably because I was doing a million things this week. As you can see, I'm on the phone all week. My wife says I'm on the phone more now than I was when I was working. I think it's true.
Well, Steve and I are doing it once again. My number one. Welcome, my friends. My name is Charon from Fatal Portrait. I have always loved that song since the day that album came out, and I agree with Steve. I think that tune and a lot of that album it's kind of like the next step from some of the Merciful Fate stuff, those first two albums, and I think that's probably why a lot of us, like old school Fate fans, really hold Fatal Portrait, you know, close to our hearts. But I just love that song. I love Andy's guitar playing in that tune.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just fantastic song.
Aside from the early days, has he played that live? I'm trying to remember. I don't know if I ever played it live. I'll have to mention that to him and say, hey.
Yeah, right.
Wow,
that's good. Yeah, that's a good point. It's surprising he doesn't play that one live. You know, it's such a strong tune.
You guys got any honorable mentions?
My only honorable mention is just because it wasn't really on a record, was Shine, which was kind of put out as a single at one point. I think it's ended up on one of these many King Diamond reissues that have been out. And he was almost going to play that in the last couple of years, and I think he might have played it for a second. But that's kind of an honorable mention just because it wasn't really on a record per se. It was a really great thing.
Yeah, right. I got a couple honorable mentions. Halloween, of course. Sleepless Nights, of course. The Meetings from the Eye. Dressed in White. The Arrival. Father Picard. At the Graves. Black Horseman are some of my ones that didn't make the list.
Yeah, I think mine we've all mentioned. Black Horseman, A Mansion in Darkness, Arrival, Halloween. I mean, you know, usual suspects.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of great ones. A lot of great ones. Really tough list to do. Just so many albums, and you know, I think a lot of us tend to kind of lean on the ones that you know, because if you grew up in the '80s, you know, being a metal fan, obviously those late '80s albums are really, you know. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And, yeah.
Well, Steven, your homework this week is to go back and listen to those '90s records a little bit more.
I will listen to them a little bit for sure. I've been trying to listen to a lot of new music this week, and I'm like, well, I got to listen to King Diamond all week, you know, whenever I get on a treadmill or on a bike or anything. I've got a few new things that did pop out I want to check out too. So I'm doing too much homework.
Well, I will be listening to this week, and I got this in too. I got to check new Metal Church thing.
Have you heard that yet? I haven't heard it yet.
I just got it in like an hour ago. Yeah.
Have you heard it, Steven?
I didn't hear that yet either. No. Where'd you buy those, Pete?
I got them from Rock Fantasy.
All right, rockfantasy.com online. Woo-hoo. I'm shamelessly plugging myself, trying to get the motor running on this little baby here. We were actually talking to someone about. Oh, that's good too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've listened to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been listening to that in that New Testament. Whew, man.
Testament's strong. Did you get the new Catatonia yet?
No.
No, you didn't. Okay.
No.
I'm not surprised. I thought you'd be right on the top of that one.
I'm not a huge Catatonia fan, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I like them. I'm not nuts about it, but I have heard from a couple of people that the new album is really, really good.
I listened to the new Black Dialer this week when I was out for a walk. I listened to the new Warbringer one day a little bit.
I've heard that's great.
Stuff. Yeah. Black Dialer's strong.
we were number 4 on the Billboard chart with Black Dahlia Murder in between The Weeknd and DaBaby.
Oh, really? That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, cool. Well, thanks again, guys, for joining us here for another Top 10 Song Show. So are we potentially going to rank the studio albums of Exodus over the next couple of weeks? Does that sound like a plan? Could we do that? Yeah.
And then we were mentioning Celtic Frost, too. Celtic Frost. How do you pronounce it? I call it Celtic Frost, Celtic Frost.
Depends on if you're from the Northeast, then you probably say Celtic Frost. If you're from Europe, you might say Celtic. I always say Celtic, and I've asked Tom Warrior, and he's like, whatever you want to say.
Reed St. Mark himself told me it's Celtic, and that's how the band pronounces it, but I don't know.
So that would be songs, not albums, right?
You know, we put out those first few Celtic Frost albums in the U.S., and that's what I was told we licensed from Noise, and that's what I was told how to pronounce it. But it's been a big thing over the years. But generally in Europe, if you see that word, it is Celtic. And of course, the U.S. has been somewhat ruined because of the Boston Celtics. So either way.
Oh, yeah, the Boston Celtic Frost.
Yep. So, yeah, I'd be down for doing a Celtic or Celtic Frost top 10 song show. Absolutely.
I would like that too. And so maybe not 2 in 1 week though. There's too much going on.
Right. Okay. Well, so we'll figure out which one we want to do next weekend and then the weekend after.
We'll talk.
So we got Exodus ranking the studio albums and Celtic Frost top 10 songs from Brian, Steve, and I in the next week or two. So stay tuned for that. So for Brian Slagel at Metal Blade, from Steve Keeler at rockfantasy.com.
Check out my brand new online store. It's the only way we're making money out here in Northeast right now.
Brian, you want to plug any new Metal Blade releases while we're at it?
We got obviously the series you mentioned, Black Dahlia Murder, New Midnight record is out there. There's a whole lot of stuff, and you can buy it all at rockfantasy.com. New King Diamond reissues, which we just
some King Diamond stuff. Yeah, definitely cool.
Crystal Fate reissues coming. Go to rockfantasy.com.
There you go.
Thank you.
Get your new music, guys. So I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for joining us here at Top 10 Songs. See you, Tranquility. We'll see you guys tomorrow with more fun. Tomorrow, we've got favorite album of the year, 1971. We were up to 1971. That'll be tomorrow morning, and we'll see you then. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care. For Brian and Steve, I am Pete. Take care.